Hello and welcome to In Conversation with ASI. This week I am joined by Hope Shadbolt. How are you going?
Hello,
Hope?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, well, thank you. I firstly thank you so much for giving us your time and taking part in the series. For some of our students, they might not know you. You did recently do an IG takeover for Australian Style Institute, which was awesome. But for people who might not have tuned into that, what are some key things? Tell us a little bit about you.
I'm based in Albury, New South Wales. We're a bit of a border town, so found it really interesting on the IG takeover because you can kind of edit and go over what you're saying. And then when Claire reached out about being in conversation, I was like, I have so much of a no filter that I was like, I can't really get rid of things on a live. So really grateful to be here. Absolutely loved being part of the ASI community. I studied with them April last year. I did just a 6-month online course, which I said on my IG takeover, it really, really changed the course and the direction of my whole life, to be honest. I came out of high school. I'm 22 years old. I came out of high school and I went straight into a uni kind of structure. And I found being such a creative, and I was always like, I was raised in a home that was like, you're doing great, sweetie. Like I was really encouraged. I was really told, even when I wasn't doing great, like keep going. And I found at uni, it was so disconnected and you just didn't really have that mentorship. And that's what I jumped on at ASI probably the most, because I loved tracking with people. And for me, I grew up in a small community in a small town. So that's just kind of your reference point of life. And when you don't have that, you just feel a little bit dull inside. So I found when I started studying with ASI, or even the first phone call I ever had with Penny, she just asked like, what do you want to get out of the course, or where do you see yourself going? And what drew me in so much to sign my name at ASI was she just listened. Like she didn't cut in and say, oh, you're perfect for this, or this is what you'll get out. She actually just let me finish my sentences, which for me, that was so, like, I found so much value in that, because they're just there to listen, and they're to guide, and they're there to step in when they need to. And yes, I studied with them in April, and it's really, really set my course now to be in my own boutique, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's our Annalise, isn't it? The boutique.
Yes, yep, yeah. Our Annalise. Yep.
Yeah, and that started more as like an online store, didn't it?
Yeah. So we started up in May last year.
Yep.
We did our own photo shoots. It was really a really big home job too, because we also started mid-pandemic. So that was really interesting for us. Had a couple of girlfriends come over and we'd take photos and things like that. But it was really, I always wanted something professional, but sometimes you've got to put that professionalism aside and just get started. And I found that was hard for me, because I'm so, like, I like things to look nice, and like being creative, you want it to be aesthetic and perfect and nice. And I just found like I wasn't getting anywhere within the first couple of weeks of the business, because I just had this expectation to look like Steel or Country Road, or you have to be like this in order to make a lifestyle, which is such a lie, because you've just got to start. So yeah, we started in May, and we started to grow a lot of, because I'm not originally from Albury, so I found just even not being in like your local girlfriend group chats, or like you didn't go to high school with them or anything like that. So I found it hard to connect with the community. But once a few more locals started to realise that our Annalise was a thing, and they saw that I was like personal styling and studying and just posting things on your Instagram stories and stuff, a lot of the local girls started to take a lot of interest. So the demand grew to try on, and I didn't really, like, me and my partner, we just were in a rental at the time, and like you don't really want people coming around to your rental property. So we just looked at each other one day and we said, let's start a store. And I knew out of that I wanted to style people within the business too. So yeah, it's just kind of grown from there, which is awesome.
Yeah. So you run the business with your partner?
Yeah. He doesn't really spend much hours in the shop. He does a lot of the back end and all the accounts, because I'm good at spending money. He just tells me how much to spend. So
yeah.
We just say he's the brains and I'm the outfit to the business. So
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess being customer facing, like that's so important in a boutique, because without those, and we were chatting before we hit record that, you know, the foot traffic for your store is so important.
Yeah.
So yeah, how have you found during, because you're currently in a 2-week lockdown,
Yeah.
what sort of things are you working on in the background while you can't have people like physically in store?
It's been really interesting because I've found Connor and I are very much, we love our lifestyle as well. And for us, our Annalise is a lifestyle. And I've looked at so many people and I've compared myself. I'm like, I should be doing more work. I should be working till midnight, all these things. And we found, because we worked both full time up until we renovated this whole store.
Yep.
So it's just been honestly, been go since about Feb. And I work, well, we have Mondays off, but you still got to do work when it's your own business. But Tuesday till Sundays, it's me in the shop and it's me doing the money. It's me styling the clothes, which is awesome. That's what I've wanted. But it's honestly, the first week of lockdown, Connor just said to me, like, take your time. Honestly, Hope, you've worked your absolute arse off for these last couple of months. And that's what I really love about our business is we don't have people knocking at our door demanding for us to be open or expecting from us the world, because we haven't put the world in front of them. We've put them in front of us, just us. And if we close our doors and want to go walk our dog, I mean, probably not go walk your dog, you can close your business, but or like when we'd go visit our family on a Sunday because like we need that to keep going. So we're very much we don't want to we're only 22 and 23. We don't want to take away from our lives because we just poured everything into our business. And we find that's what makes it so successful is because it's so authentic, because we're just in front of people just as much as they're in front of us. So the first kind of week, Connor really allowed me to just like get your reels up, get your photos up, do that, but don't just take this time for yourself, because the more you have, the more you can give. But now this week's really business week. So planning a few IGTVs to run, which is big for me because I don't know, I just don't really I don't like being in front of the camera, honestly. And when you reach out, you're like, do you want to do this? I was like, no, not really. But if you constantly say no, you're never going to grow. So, so I found last week I've really been able to, and I guess being that quiet time, you're able to plan a lot better. Otherwise, you just find that you're constantly grinding, but not necessarily getting anywhere. So, we've got a couple of IGTVs in the works, styling, because we did want to run a few styling workshops in August with the local girls, but obviously COVID, so we can't have those people in. So I guess if the internet's the next best way to get things out there. So, which will be exciting. We're in the midst of planning it. We've got our unisex brand label is launching hopefully in December, which is really exciting. That's our sister brand, Mr. Sister. So lots of planning for that, lots of sampling, and that's really exciting because that's really creative. That's where we're gonna kind of live a little as well, which is cool.
Yeah. What made you go down that path?
Connor, I found with our Annalise, we've kind of, for us, we feel like we've really kind of hit the nail on the head with our aesthetic, and it's so fine-tuned. And I grew up at a farm, so it's very rustic and very neutral and very pretty. And Connor is he's quirky. I'm quirky too. We're both very quirky. But he loves the greens and the orange and the blue. I was like, doesn't quite fit our Annalise. And he's a boy, so he wants something to do as well. And he says he's not creative, but he just thinks different. Which for me, I look at that because a lot of people think creative is what you can do when you pick up a pen and put it to a canvas, whereas I just think creativity is the way you think, it's the way you feel, it's the way you express. And he really has wanted to do something like this, and it opens us to collaborate a lot more too, because like I said, our Annalise is so fine-tuned, it's really hard to find or reach out with other brands that match your mission and your value and your aesthetic too. So Mr. Sister's going to be our fun, really. So we'll see where it goes. it might not go anywhere. It might go everywhere. We don't know. And we're not too fussed on it either. It's just going to sit there, and we're going to release a couple of collections and drops and collaborate locally and stuff. But yeah, it's just a bit of fun, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great to see that you are pivoting and trying to, I guess, innovate the brand that you've already built.
Yeah.
You know, we have that saying at ASI, say yes and figure out how. And it sounds like
Yes.
you kind of really have that mentality,
Yeah.
pushing yourselves forward. How do you find that running a business together impacts your relationship?
I grew up as this strong, independent woman, and I never thought I would have someone next to me doing life and business by my side. I love running a business with Connor because he is everything I'm not. Like, I'm not good with numbers. I'm actually not good with technology whatsoever. I roll my eyes more often than not when he says, "Oh, do this." I'm like, I don't know how. And I find we're really good at switching off. We sit down at a dinner table. I grew up eating around a dinner table every night, and so did he. And if we're doing work, dinner's ready, shut the laptops, let's talk about, like, what was the favourite part about your day? And I find we can really switch off when we want, but when we take the dog for a walk or we're going places, we're talking about the business. But it's never, I think being 22, not much really has happened to you in life that you have to take seriously either. So, yeah, to be honest, we could be a bit naive. I don't know. We don't really know what we don't know either. So we don't have all these big responsibilities. Like, we don't have kids that we need to worry about at the moment and things like that. So, yeah, I find it's given you something to build your relationship on as well, which is really beautiful. And I think we've kind of, he's a man, so he doesn't really talk about things very much, but I'm that talk. And I find if you stick to your own lane, so if he doesn't tell me what to do, what I'm good at, then it works. But if I butt in and say, "Oh, Connor, the website needs to look like this and do this," he'll just turn around and say, "This is my lane." And I think if you're good at sticking to your own lanes and knowing how to communicate, I think is really important. It's important in everyday life. If you know how to communicate what you want without taking it out on the person, like, it's the idea, not the person. And I think if you and 100% we've had tips all along, but that's just lands, okay, that's not how I communicate that way. Yeah. So yeah, it's been awesome. I could not imagine doing it without him. Yeah. Which is funny because 18-year-old me would have never have said that.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like a lot of like personal growth, even from like leaving high school to now.
Yeah.
I guess when we think about sort of where you were at leaving and going to uni, what was sort of the tipping point that made you want to get into styling and sort of take this route?
I felt like I lost a lot of like creativity at uni. I was only there for a semester and a bit because and I'm a country girl, and like I said at the start, like, I loved people and I loved the connection. And when I was at uni, I was like, there's so many conversations not being had. I remember I drew up a collection because I love wearable clothes. Like, I've never really been the girl to look at celebrities or look at runways and be like, "Oh, it's stunning and it's got like wire hanging off their shoulders." I always found that really hard to connect to because I have to know why. Like, why is this the way it is? And then it helps me go forward. But at uni, it was just like no real direction, and I really struggled in that, and I got really overwhelmed. And I found one day I did my full collection, my full folio, and my uni lecturer came over and he said, I could walk into a shop and buy any one of those designs. And I just looked at him, I was like, good, that's the point.
Yeah.
And like, the person who has no filter, I did take it out on him a bit, but I just felt really hurt because, or just not heard at all, like not listened to. I was like, but that's who I am. I want to help people. Like, I want to put clothes, if I was a designer, I want to put clothes on people's backs that they're going to wear down the street like a normal person. And then after I kind of had that tiff with my uni lecture, I was like, this place isn't for me. And a lot of personal reasons too. I found I was really partying, and I was getting into someone I didn't want to be. And I thought if I stayed here any longer, away from my family, away from the people who have my best interests, I'm going to lose myself for a long time. So I went back home. I worked in the veggie farm for a couple of months. I just kind of found my roots again. And when I was at home, I came across ASI. I was just kind of looking for something a bit more creative and a bit more, you just know when things resonate. And when I saw the ASI content, I was like, oh, like it just makes you feel something, the ASI content. And I remember, I can't remember the exact process, but I remember Penny called me, and like I said before, it was that turning point, because I often listen to people's words behind what they're saying, or the silence behind the silence, or why is the conversation happening. Yep. And when I hung up from that phone call from Penny, I just was like, I can't not miss this opportunity. And there was a bit of an offer going, and Mum just looked at me and she said, you've got to do it. And yeah, it happened from there. I moved to Albury to do it. Half the reason, because I was doing long distance relationship with Connor, they were like, no, you can't. And like when I said, yeah, I'm going to move, then they're like, no, you can't move, because they thought I was going to study from home in Swan Hill. They didn't know I was going to move. I was like, no, the internet connection's bad at the farm. I have to move to Albury to study. And Mum, like, it's just a running joke now. Like, obviously I wanted to move and start a life with Connor in person. And the running joke is that I left home for internet connection, which, to be honest, is true. It's absolutely true, but it's just, I think I'm going to die with that quote in my grave. But can confirm the internet connection in Albury is 10 times better. And then, studied online, and I found online, I really love that, but I'm quite motivated to reach out because, like I said, I need support and I need to be told I'm doing great. And I loved online because you could do it at your own pace. And I've never been someone to have a schedule or a routine. It's something like all my New Year's resolutions are get better at picking up your washing, get better at your meal preps, and clean your bathroom. Like all these routines I try and put in, but I'm just so bad at routine because I'm so good at saying yes to things that they're out of my routine. And I feel like I have to do those things, but I have a routine, but this, and then I get really overwhelmed and then I don't do anything. Yeah. So, studying online was awesome for me because I could go for a walk or go for a bike ride that's not in my routine. Then I could come home and sit in the sun and do my study and love it. Yeah. And I think it's really interesting where you set up, like if you do go ahead with the online studying in whatever, have a really beautiful natural light space you can study, because I found I would try and go and study in an office and it had a little bit of a bedroom. I mean, a little bit of a window. And I was just so unproductive and I was not thinking straight. And I know not everyone has access to beautiful natural light, but it's so interesting personally how my brain works is I need natural light, I need things to smell nice, I need a window open. All these things really did play a part for me when I studied online. So when I'd make a cup of tea and really set my stuff down, I'd sit there for hours and actually love it. Like it wasn't even a study. It was just learning, to be honest, which was awesome. Yeah.
And you actually won our 2020 Student of the Year award last year.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when Lauren and I rang you and informed you that you'd won. How did you feel when we sort of delivered that news to you?
I think I had a few profanities. It was really unexpected for me because it's interesting in like a school structure. I was never a good student. Because I was just a bit too out of the box for teachers to really understand. I remember like when I posted a photo on my Instagram, I was like, this is literally the first Student of the Year award I've got since like year 3. Yeah. And I felt really noticed. And for me, I wasn't studying to be noticed or anything. I just loved it. And I was so passionate about the assignments and the modules. And I was like, man, this is awesome. And I met a couple of girls over Instagram, like one's from Tassie, one's from Brisbane, like all these different girls I met while studying who are similar age to me. And that support was awesome. So to get kind of recognized for the progress or the effort that you put in, I was like, whoa, is everyone getting this award? Like, yeah, it was really, really special. And especially to get recognized by people who have done it and are doing it in an incredible way. It just kind of makes you feel like, oh, really? Like, really? So yeah, it was awesome. It's absolute honor to receive.
You're so deserving, I must say. Like, something that we look for in who wins like Student of the Year is someone who is dedicated to their studies, who utilizes all those resources, completes their assessments, and, you know, mentoring as well is a great way for us to keep on top of where you're at, your progress and things like that. And you just ticked all of those boxes since the day one of you being with us. And I actually remember Bernadette, one of our mentors in New South Wales, she had reached out to me personally via email after a mentoring session with you saying, Hope Shadbolt is amazing. She is doing X, Y, Z, like kicking goal, so proud. And it's that kind of feedback as well from our mentors that, you know, brought you front of mind when we were thinking about people who would be deserving of that award. And your passion shone through in even the assessments that you did do. Like, I remember reading some of them, and you put so much thought and effort in. And I think that's really helped you to create our Annalise to what it is now, and the experience that you can then offer to clients. Because without, I guess, there's a lot of people out there, and we often say this in our community, is like there's a lot of people out there who know fashion, who can put a great outfit together for themselves, but actually being able to take that for someone else is a different skill altogether. And I think from day one, you had that passion to learn, and it really stood out to us. Like, I'm really proud of everything you've done. Like, when I see your stories and like what's going on in the store, it's just like, you know, it's exciting to know that you've been able to achieve everything you have. When it comes to drawing inspiration, because as a creative, we often look to things for inspo, where do you seek it?
I actually really hate this question, because half the time I don't know. I find I've got such a busy mind. Sometimes I can't pinpoint where my inspiration comes from. I love Pinterest. I will absolutely say I am addicted. I'm constantly, like, even when I was a younger girl, when I wasn't really like more fashion forward thinking and following influencers and trends and that type of thing, if I wanted to go out, I would go, like, I'd Pinterest white top denim jeans, and I would go, like, I'd scroll until I found an outfit that resonated. And honestly, that's when I've helped style people, we've gone through that process, because I know, like, as a visual learner, I was like, if it worked for me, it'd have to work for other people. And the feedback I've gotten just from helping people, even when they come into my shop, they're like, I have these pants at home, I'm trying to find a top. And I'm the first to say, no, we don't have it in store, but let's find you something locally. And I've never been someone who's exclusive to our Annalise, because I know it's not for everyone as much as I want. And that's the thing, I want to help everyone. So even a couple of girls who are getting, who say are a size 14 or 16, and they love a dress, but it's not in their size, I say, well, let's see what's local. Like, what's it cotton on? What could we look at? I don't even really know what's local here. There's not a lot. Or, like, we start to look online and things like that, because I just want to help the person in front of me. And what I've really loved about the skills I've been equipped with at ASI, not that I've gone ahead and set up a personal styling business, but it's really helped me structure my conversations with people. Like, someone walks in the door, I'm not just saying, hey, how you going? I'm, oh, like, what have you been up to today? Oh, the weather's nice outside. Like, and it's just those little conversations that once, like, to be honest, some people probably find me annoying because I'm just like, no. But even just like little bits of information that you can pick up in the 5 minutes that they're browsing, as soon as they take something into the change room, you can be like, oh, these pens are going to be awesome if you do like going bike riding, but you can get off your bike, have a cute picnic and look really cute and get a nice photo. Like, you just know, because at the start they said, oh, I'm going for a bike ride this afternoon.
Yeah.
And what I love, like me being an extrovert, I've always loved talking to people, and I just love, like, I like being nosy. I like to know people's lives. I love it. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of knowing people. And I've found with ASI, it's really helped me learn that those conversations is actually what changes people's lives. It's one, you're being interested in them first, which everyone loves to be asked questions. And it's also just helped me grow a styling business, because you're learning about people and then helping them in the change room, which is basically what, as a stylist, you're taking people shopping because of what you know from your style consult. So I find like my consults are expressed to the max, and like my consult is the first 3 minutes they walk in the door.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've found that that's really, really helped me with ASI, is learn that all those things are really important to actually understand a person. Because I would just ask people questions like, oh, I love you, like as soon as they walk in the door. But yeah, having the actual structure and knowing why I'm opening my mouth is, has been so incredible to build a business off.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so cool.
It is exciting.
Yeah. Do you find that that's helped you get repeat customers, like loyal?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I honestly really only picked that up in the past probably a couple of weeks, or even honestly since closing down. I've really been able to reflect on our business, because when you're just doing it, you just don't really lift your head up that often. But when you've got girls kind of, they just want to be heard. Like I seriously have girls come in just on their lunch breaks, just to chat. It's like, how you going? They're like, oh, not really looking, I'm just here to chat. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because it's just me in here. So if someone comes in to chat, I love it. Like, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
So, it's beautiful. And like I said at the start, like that's the lifestyle that we want in our Annalise. We want to show what home looks like. We want to show what our day looks like. We want to go out for a cocktail and say, cocktails.
Yeah.
Because that's just the whole life of our Annalise. So, yeah.
So cool. When you look forward for our Annalise and I guess, your career, what does success look like to you, and how do you measure success right now for yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've always wanted to put a place on the map. And I said to Connor, success to me is someone who doesn't know anything about Albury, comes to Albury, Googles like personal styling or fashion boutique or things like that, and we pop up and they come in and it matches exactly what they expected. That's probably it's hard to measure though. Like it's hard to, we started to get a couple of reviews on Google, and that was my success. I was like, man, my vision is really, really reciprocating onto people's experience, which for me, that's
goosebumps when you said that. I'm like, that's so cool that I've got goosebumps just like being able to deliver that level of experience for someone, that they actually take the time to go away and write a Google review. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's so surreal too. Like it's, it sounds so silly of me, but when I was younger, I was like, I'm always going to do something with my life. Like I've always just thought I'm going to be something or do something. And it was so funny when you said like we're going to do an interview, because I used to, when I first got my P's and I'd drive in my car alone, I used to pretend people would ask me questions. And I'm like, so this, and like real powerful, like boss woman, which is nothing like the questions that you're asking, to be honest. But I just always wanted to be something for someone. And what I love about Annalise is it's a space where people can just come in and be themselves. And when we were renovating, we wanted it to feel homey. Like we've got fresh plants, we've got like organic lines, and everything within our Annalise, like really beautiful timber. Things like that you walk into and you don't like, it's not overcrowded at all. Like we've got a tiny little store and all our clothing's on the outside. Because I've walked into stores, and as a shopper, you know what feels like home and what doesn't. So I want people to walk in and feel relaxed and feel comfortable and feel like they're literally just talking to a best friend. So I think we've really, the feedback we've gotten locally has been quite overwhelming. But I think the biggest reason why I wanted to open a shop, because when I first moved here in April and started studying, I'd go down the street for a bit of inspiration, or like, where would I take someone shopping? And I was like, there's just such a big gap in the market for a boutique that offers experience and authenticity. So I was like, I'm going to be that.
Yeah.
And it took a couple of months to kind of grow locally and things like that, which we're grateful that it was a couple of months. Like, some people grind 10 years to have something like this.
Yeah.
So, I think that just goes to show the power of spotting a gap in the market and going for it. Absolutely.
So cool. I love what you said there about, like, you wanted to create something that was homely and, you know, was authentic and where people could come and be themselves. Because when you think about retail as a whole, it's very easy to walk into a store and see beautiful clothes on the rack. But if you have a bad experience with that brand or that store, how likely are you to actually go back?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I miss home every day. For me, I'm such a homebody. And although Albury's definitely becoming home, I really, really miss my home. Like, I was having a bit of a cry this morning because I was just like, I miss my mum. I miss my dad. I miss my brothers. I miss the fresh air of a vegetable farm. And for me, I wanted a space too that I could walk into. I'm here every day. I want to walk into something that I love and that I want to be at. And yes, it's so, like, when you build something that is so authentic and so real, sometimes I do just stand at my front door, and, like, I'm quite a sensitive girl. If you yell at me, I will cry. But I stand at my front door and I feel at home, and it instantly just makes me tear, because I'm like, this is where I'm meant to be. It's home away from home, which is really, I think if you ever want to build a successful business, it's literally putting your heart and soul into it. And yes, doing that means you get affected a lot more, because, like, if someone says something negative, or if someone does have a bad experience or anything like that, it hits home a lot more because it's so authentic. But it should, because that'll make you want to move or do something about it. So yeah, it's I love it in here. It's my favorite place.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope one day that I can come up and actually see it in the flesh. Yeah. That'd be great.
Oh, I hope to come visit you guys. It's been such a, like, oh, I'm going to be there. No, I'm not COVID. Oh, I'm going to be there.
We will get you in at some point. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. I have absolutely loved hearing more about our Annalise and sort of where you're at now. I think it's a really beautiful way to take the skills that you've learned through the course with ASI into something that feeds all those parts of you, that gives you the life that you've always wanted. Yeah. And at 22, absolutely. Like,
awesome. It's funny. I've always worked in retail, and when I was here, I used to work at Orna Jane, and I had a lady come in and say, what are you doing? Like me, I was happy. I was like, I'm going to start a business and going to open a shop. And obviously it does seem pretty weird to be opening a brick and mortar during this time. And she just looked at me. She's like, what are you doing at 22? Like, live your life. I was like, I am. I was like, what kind of comment even is that to say to a 22? Like, I'm pretty stubborn. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, later on, I went home. I was like, oh, that was kind of, am I doing the right thing? Like, what am I doing? I'm 22. But like, in 5 years' time, like, something I really want to get into it. I want to study further with ASI's editorial shooting. Because for me, I find, like, I love personal styling, but that's just out of my passion for people. And my studies with ASI have really fueled that passion for people and really probably reignited it, because like I said, when I was at uni, I lost it and I became a bit bitter and cold, and I just kind of hated the world. I started to wear a lot of black, and I never wear black. But I've found, since getting into our Annalise and studying again, I've wanted to be a bit more creative, but I don't feel necessarily creative when I style people. Right. So as I said, it's just out of a passion. And in our Annalise, I love clothes and stuff, but it's hard to be creative when it's not your own designs. It's still, at the end of the day, we're buying in someone else's idea. But what I love directing our own shoots, which is quite rare for boutiques to have their own shoots, because it's like you're shooting someone else's content.
Yes.
Which a lot of boutiques don't do, because it's like, it is time, it's effort, it's money, it's models, it's makeup, it's all this effort, but I love it. Like, I love planning that and getting a budget, because that's very important for me. All these things that really, they really challenge me. So I'm really looking forward to getting more into the editorial space. And once our Annalise is kind of on its own 2 feet a bit more, and we do potentially look at an employer, I would love to enter that space more, because it just gives me goosebumps, the thought of it. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, I think you'll really thrive in that course. And yeah, I'm excited to see when that happens and help you.
Watch this space. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I've really loved hearing your insights and some of the things that you said that I think will really stick with people. It's like being creative isn't putting pen to a canvas. It's actually the way you think and the way you process. And that to me speaks volumes about even your maturity at 22. Like, I'm just blown away by you, to be perfectly honest. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Hope. I'm sure that people in our community will absolutely love hearing your story. And I can't wait to see you in the classroom sometime soon.
Yes, hopefully.
Yes.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.